Hello everybody. It's 3:30 Thursday, November 5th. Kira and I just got up to the cabin a bit ago. And when we left on Sunday, the ground was covered with snow. Now you can see some snow down in the swamp. And the lake is got ice on it yet, but a lot of it, the snow and that on surface is melted, so it's kind of wet and slushy looking, although I suspect it's not slush. But again, if you look at the ground here, it's all bare. It's almost 60. I think it says it's 57 outside. So very mild. Saturday is deer season opener. I think we're supposed to be about 60 for a high. I'm just starting to unload the truck. I got a whole bunch of water jugs, because depending on how the season goes, I'll probably be around here for a while. Our season runs 3 weekends and 2 weeks. I don't know if I'll stay the whole time, but I guess we'll just see how we do. It's going to be an interesting opening. I think it's supposed to be some wind. And then rain Sunday night, Monday. So it might be a bit of a challenge, but we'll deal with it. I think I'm gonna do a couple tanks of gas on the wood pile. So this is what I have left of the 5 cords of maple that I had delivered. I got this big pile of cut. And then this pile here. So in the spring it'll be splitting and stacking in the woodshed. And hopefully it'll be dry, although I should have some dry wood left from this winter, but we'll see how often I make it up here and get to spend some time in the winter. Anyway, I think I'll plug away a bit at this morning before it gets too warm. Well, there it is. It was such a nice day. I went down to my t-shirt and I got the rest of my maple cut. So now it'll have the winter to dry out a little bit. I still have the sawdust pile to haul down, but I'm going to take a break now for a while and relax just a little bit, and then maybe run over to the neighbors quick. Well, I'm just taking a quick little trip back in the woods to head over to Joe's tent. I have to drop something off there, and I just ran into Zach, who's just getting here from down south, so their crew should be pretty well set then. But boy, what a difference from last weekend. This road was snow covered and slippery, and now there's hardly anything left here. Last weekend I was in 4-wheel drive just so I wasn't slipping on the icy road, but obviously that's not the case this weekend. It's November the 7th, opening of deer season 2020. It's just before 8 o'clock in the morning. I've been here, I got in here about 6:30. It's probably close to 55 degrees out. I think it was 50 this morning at 4:30 when I got up. So it's pretty mild, pleasant for sitting. I haven't heard any shots today, which is a little bit unusual, because usually the first morning you'll hear a handful of shots anyway in the area. But I think between the warm weather, the last few tough winters we've had, it's going to be, I think, a bit of a challenging season. Maybe if the temperatures cool off, deer will move a little bit more. John is out in the stand for the first time ever deer hunting. He's getting unusual experience with the temperatures being this warm. Oh, here comes my buddies. Well, it's Tuesday morning, about 9:30, November the 10th, which I believe is also Veterans Day today. So if there's any vets that watch our channel, I'm wishing you the best today and appreciate what you've done to protect our country and our values. Haven't seen anything today. Didn't come out at all yesterday because, man, we started getting rain and it just poured. It's also 30 degrees colder this morning than it was, well, on Sunday when I was last out here. And then with the temperature dropping this morning, it was 21. You know, the wet leaves and everything froze, so it's kind of crunchy, noisy in the woods, which doesn't help. Deer don't like to move when, you know, they make too much noise, but it's actually pretty pleasant sitting out here. I mean, we don't have a strong wind or anything, but only thing keeping me company are a few squirrels, and then I had my Canadian jays show up. Today I had a piece of bread for them, so they got a little bit of treat. So Anyway, we'll hang in here for another hour and a half or so and see if anything starts moving. So it's Wednesday, November the 11th. I was wrong yesterday in my shot when I said I thought it was Veterans Day. It actually is Veterans Day today on Wednesday, the 11th. Hopefully there's some celebrations taking place someplace here in America. So what a difference one day can make in the woods. Yesterday's shot was all without snow, and this morning there's 5 inches of snow on the ground here. I think it was just starting to snow a little bit around 8 o'clock last night. It was actually kind of sleet. And then I got up at 2:30, it was still snowing. And then when I got up at 5, the snow had stopped, and like I say, there's about 5 inches. Right now there's hardly any breeze. Once in a while a breeze kicks in and starts knocking some of the snow off the trees. Looks like diamonds falling from the sky when you see that in the sunlight. After I got back to the cabin, there was quite a bit of snow to deal with. So I got the snowblower out and did some with that, and then got the plow put on the Polaris four-wheeler and used that. Took me a couple hours, but as you can see, I got it pretty cleaned up. So when John and Stephen get back up here Friday, at least they'll have decent places to park and that, so I obviously didn't video any of the plowing or snow blowing. It's just because I come back to the cabin quick and decided I better jump on it before it gets too dark. And while I still had winter clothes on, it made sense to get that done. So gives Kira some place to move around, and then when Diddy gets here on Friday with Steven, the dogs will have a outside playpen here with all this snow to tussle around in. Last night the wolves came into the area, so the trail we walked in on was full of wolf tracks from last night. There was nothing there when we left yesterday, but this morning they were there, so. And then on the main road we drive in, they worked that for quite a ways too, so. I don't know, it's been a pretty bleak season as far as seeing anything. But we'll hang in here for a while yet today and see if something decides to mosey on by us. Otherwise, I have my squirrels to watch and my Canadian jays to feed. Well, it's Sunday, getting close to 11. I'm here at the cabin. Actually, I didn't go out at all this morning. We had a couple inches or so of fresh, heavy, wet snow. And then the winds picked up. I went out at 3:30 and it wasn't too windy then, but it was still snowing. And then I went out just before 5, and the snow had started tapering off, but then the wind started picking up, and it was pretty miserable. So I kind of made the decision that we wouldn't go out this morning. Then later in the morning, Stephen and John decided to head out in the woods and they'd do some walking, not sitting, on our stands, because the deer don't generally like to move in the wind because they can't hear things as well either. So they were going to do a little walk and stalk on some of the trails and see if they could catch anything standing around or jump something and that. So they haven't come back. So we'll see when they get back if they had any luck or saw some sign or whatever. So the lake is, slowly refreezing. It's got, I'm sure, some slush in that from the snow and the cold, but still has a ways to go. Right now I think the temp's almost 30 degrees, so it's fairly mild, but yeah, pretty miserable out. So I guess I'd rather stay in on days like this and do a few chores around the cabin or reading or whatever than to be out there and be miserable. But you never know. The other thing I did a little bit of this morning was, since we had some more snow, was grab some and bank this side of the cabin up where I hadn't gotten to putting up the skirting yet in the fall. And the worst part over there is skirted, and on the other side, and then 2 other sides. So I have this section, I have this section that didn't get done. This section was all skirted, but then snow sloughs off from the metal roof. In fact, it's interesting, it's got a ripple effect now, like waves on a lake. I'm sure that'll probably slough off, and it's because of the wet snow, and then of course the warm roof from heating the cabin. You can see where the heat goes versus the part hanging over the porch, which isn't insulated and heated. So well, we got a little project we're gonna finish up here. Stephen likes to blacksmith, and I told him that we should make some more hooks for hanging jackets and things here on the wall rather than just a screw stuck in there. So he forged 5 hooks. I think there's 3 we already put up, but we got 2 more, so I'll take down a couple of the screws, move one down a little bit lower, and then get these other 2 fastened on, and we'll have a little bit more decorative coat hangers. All right, need one more there, and so probably another, oh, I don't know, another half a dozen hooks we could spread out in here. It's Tuesday, November 17th, about 9 a.m. This is a different stand than I've been sitting in. This is the one Stephen's been sitting in. And yesterday he put up that new stand, so he's sitting in that one. So I switched up so I could get a different view. Just look at some different terrain for a day or two. This morning it was 14 degrees, so the coolest we've had so far this season. And there's kind of a steady wind from the northwest. But it's not uncomfortable. Stephen and John saw a couple deer yesterday when they were putting up that new stand, and one of them was an 8-point buck, but he couldn't get a shot at it by the time they saw what it was. The buck already knew they were there, and so he wandered away like they usually do, into a spot where he couldn't get a shot at him. That's why we were thinking this morning might be a different tune, but so far, quiet. But it's still early today. Yesterday, I was sitting here and saw the doe and running through, and half hour later, the wolves started showing up, and by the time they were done coming through, I had seen 11 timber wolves. Stephen saw one timber wolf yesterday and no deer. Well, there's the tracks. There were several sets. Additional sets, but that's one of the more clear ones. So that wouldn't have been much more than about 10, 15 minutes ago that they came through and went off into the swamp there. So they're patrolling pretty hard right now. Walking out, I don't know if you can see it. I think you can, how dark these tracks of mine are. Those are all snow fleas, springtails. When it gets real warm, they come up on top of the snow. And I've showed this before in videos, but it's quite a lot today because the temperature is real mild. They are interesting critters. You seen them? Well, today's hunt was 1 doe and 11 timber wolves. It's Saturday, about a little after 10:30. Speaking of the jays, today's kind of a perfect day again. There wasn't really any wind, a couple gusts earlier and then died off, but there's 5 of us out in the woods right now and nobody's seen anything. I didn't see any fresh tracks today or nothing. So I'm thinking I might pull all my gear from this stand and maybe be done. I've only missed 2 days out of the season, so if John and Stephen go out in the morning, then I can work at getting the camp cleaned up, and all of a sudden now the Jays want to show up. Before I couldn't beat them out of my hand or nothing, but now all of a sudden, so we still have a little time this morning, but yeah, it's been a tough season. Well, everyone, this is Sunday, the last day of deer season. Stephen and John went out, my friend Tom. Stephen saw 3 doe and 2 wolves. John saw a couple does and 2 wolves. Tom didn't see anything, so we ended this year with no bucks harvested. We saw several does. We probably saw then 14, 16, 18 wolves from our stands and 1 on the trail camera. We've had snow, we've had almost 70-degree weather, winds, calm, so all over the place. But in spite of not getting any deer, we still had a great time with family and friends, and gives us some excitement and anticipation looking forward to next year. So anyway, we hope that you like this video that we put together to show you Deer Camp 2020, and appreciate all of you watching. Like, subscribe, share, and watch for more videos from the Living North channel.